best practices. One of the Special Rapporteur's reports this year was on tourism. And the Yaqui, I think, are a model of best practices in indigenous-led tourism. If you walk outside and look that way, you can see a really, really tall hotel. That's part of the Yaqui tribe's casino. The Ava Entertainment Center brings world-class entertainment to Tucson. If you asked people in Tucson what's their favorite place to go, it's an outdoor pavilion. It's a world-class golf resort. The tribe was able to take its water allocation and create a lake that is now becoming a wildlife sanctuary. And we are so proud to be able to work with the Yaqui tribe. I've been coming out here for over 37 years, and I'm proud to say I've been hired and fired as Chief Justice 3 times. And always happy to serve the Yaqui people. I have, I think, 9 of our graduates work in the Pascua Yaqui legal system, including the Pascua Yaqui Attorney General and member of the tribe, Fred Urbina. And we have such a close connection. It just made total sense to open the first tribal microcampus with Pascua Yaqui, given our close connections, the number of Yaqui students we have, and really working with a tribe that gets it. We work with Native Nations Institute on the nation-building approach. And we are pleased, IPLP, along with the Nations Institute, to offer our Indigenous governance curriculum here on site. We use this facility to teach members of the tribe, employees, and others about the best practices for Indigenous governance. And so this is a tribe that puts an emphasis on education. And so it's really, again, just a pleasure to allow Vice Chairman to come back again and talk a few minutes about some of the work that the tribe is doing and how, and again, that's an important message, how that work cuts across borders for Indigenous peoples. The Yaqui, you guys need a Secretary of State. You travel. They are really engaged in the international human rights process and very effective at making that process work for Indigenous peoples. So, Vice Chairman Valencia, thank you.
We're the Pascua Yaqui tribe of Arizona, about 375 miles south of us in what is now Mexico, Sonora, Mexico, are 8 pueblos of our people. So they have probably twice our population. We have about 22,000. They have about 40-some-thousand down there. And it's important to note that because, crossing the border is getting, as the right-wingers go more right, I say this, when they start going really far right, then you start to go around. No? But it's getting tougher and tougher, even especially when we try to bring our people across. So, it seems like every couple of months, there's something new and there's something we can't do anymore. And we've done a lot of work. In my former role as chair, I established a border alliance. And this is primarily to determine, do we do this ourselves or do we include people that are also affected by the border? So we went that route. So we have a number of tribes that are part of our border alliance. And I'll give you a case. One time we were in Mexico City and one of the tribes from the Texas, the Kickapoo, we're looking at the agenda, and I said, "That's funny. This is all of our issues, but it says Kickapoo." And we didn't know it at the time, but we had the same issues. We should have done a better job of talking to each other, right? We do now, but so we have a lot of things in common. And if I can tell you a little story, I headed up an international repatriation for our people that were massacred in Sonora in 1902. They had been at the Museum of Natural History for 106 years before we even noticed. And so I led the effort to get them back. And of course, the museum told us, well, NAGPRA doesn't apply because they were from Sonora. So we said, okay, so what do we have to do? Well, you have to get permission from the highest level of the Mexican government. So I said, okay, point us in the direction. So we went there. And we had no attorneys at the time that represented us, but there was a room full of Mexican lawyers that represented them. And they were interested in this, so we told them the kind of the dog and pony show. And we had a couple of archaeologists that helped us from different institutions. One from was UMass, the other was a former graduate from the U of A, and he was with the state of New York. And one of the, at the time, he was the head of the Gila River cultural department. And so we presented, they said, oh, that's interesting. We didn't know about this massacre. We didn't know anything about that. So as the museum had said, you know, Mexico has a patrimony for a lot of things. And within 2 weeks, they gave us the approval to bring these people down. And the reason I mention it is because the spirits of our ancestors also brought an individual to us. He's at your law school right now, James, I was going to say Rogers, that's Hopkins. And when he came, we both agreed, sometimes we pray to our maker, our creator, to bring us somebody that we desperately need in order to carry us forward. And he started this case. I had talked to him. I said, and he thought, well, this case is going to take 1 year. You know, that's what, 2009 to now. And the case was trying to look at our people in Rio Yaqui were interested in the demarcation of land and the return of what they had said 50% of this large dam, a huge dam, of the water behind the dam. And one of the discoveries they had as leaders, there was 8 like governors for each, one for each pueblo, is that they had no domain over the land or the water. Again, that was the patrimony of Mexico. And they were like, after centuries, they were like, we don't? I said, no, you don't. You have domain over the people. And they were like, well, what do we do to regain that or to gain that if we never had it? We thought we had it, you know. So it was one of those things, you know, you can apply all kinds of things, international law and such. But the fact was, this is kind of the case right now. I tell them, you know, the constitutions of Mexico really say nothing about indigenous people's rights, like 0. So you guys might want to consider talking to the next candidate for president about these things. So anyways, you know, we're always like, you know, causing these situations, or at least for them to think about those things, you know. So they're talking about it, but Professor Hopkins has done really incredible, really brilliant work. He presented in the fall before President Robbins and his colleagues at the law school. And basically, the same issue, demarcation of land, 50% of the water, also reparations. One of the things that's pretty unknown, although Stanford did a study a long time ago, was the use of pesticides, you know, things that we banned here in the US. Guess where they went to? And they really harmed our people. And, you know, again, I have many relatives down in Rio Yaqui. My mother, though she was born here in Pascua, here in Tucson, she spent her childhood in the Pueblo Authorium in Rio Yaqui. And so, you know, what she was telling me is like, during that time, the river's dry right now, but during that time, I mean, sometimes we had too much water. We had flooding, we had this, and we had that. But everything that is related to in our culture in terms of what we thought about our interactions with not only flora and fauna, but everything, the environment and everything around us, she lived that, you know. I can only experience what she had told me about those matters, you know. So, for example, she says, well, there was nothing to eat. So the Pueblo Authorium is actually plural for a tree rat. And our people used to eat those tree rats. You might go, yeah, but if that's all you have to eat, that's what you eat, right? So, you know, and that was a lot of things she had told me are relevant. Even a story that she as a child, after I finish right now, I got to go to the senior center. I have a plaque. The senior center is named after my grandmother. They called her Liowe. It's a term of respect for an elder. And one of the things that people, although her portrait is there, there's nothing to say who she is. And they say, who is that lady? And I go, okay, that's it. I'm going to write something. So I did. So I'm going to take that right now. But again, this case is one of the most important. I was telling El Professor Calí that earlier that President of Mexico a few years ago had stated publicly, as the President of the Great Republic of Mexico, I, as his representative, will get down on my knees and beg forgiveness for everything that Mexico has done to the Yaqui people. And he has, through the Instituto Nacional de Pueblos Indígenas, the National Institute for Indigenous Pueblos, he actually commissioned and personally supervised a plan de justicia, a justice plan. It's about this thick, and it talks about what Mexico is going to do to improve the situation there. You know, they're currently installing a potable water supply, and the way it works right now is you get water once or twice a week, and we have pictures of this really one of a really up there in year elders that's actually poking a hole in a pipe, but it's contaminated water. So you see her with a little plastic jug filling up that case. Well, you know, as you know, like in India and other countries, you know, if that's the only water source that's available, well, you're going to drink that, right? You know, our diabetes rates over there is going up because guess who's in town? Coca-Cola and Pepsi. So if you don't have water, what are you going to drink? So there's a lot of issues. So again, the work that's being done is, we believe it's going to be a really incredible, one of the strongest cases in modern history for indigenous peoples, even Mexico, Latin American countries. So again, appreciate it, the time here. Thank you. I'd love to your schedule. No, thank you very much. Thank you.